السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا Muhammad وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. All praise is due to Allah. May Allah's peace and blessings be upon His final messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Inshallah, this is a session where I'll try to answer the questions received from the Essentials program regarding the book of Zakah. And we seek aid from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and guidance, and we say Bismillah. Okay, first question. Can we give fitrah and zakah on 1st of Ramadan on country where poor needy people need it from first day of Ramadan? Please explain, Jazakallah khair. Okay, if the person here is asking about Zakat al-Fitr is paid on 1 or 2 days before the end of Ramadan, before Eid, okay? So if it was paid by cash, even from day one in Ramadan, he paid it to a charity organization, this is a form of delegation. So he delegates them on his behalf so that they can buy whatever is needed, but they will be giving it to the poor 1 or 2 days before Ramadan. That is okay. But giving the poor Zakat al-Fitr should be 1 or 2 days before Ramadan, 1 or 2 days before Eid. And this is what's required. If you want to give normal sadaqah, that's okay. Zakah is, or normal, if you're talking about normal zakah doesn't have any time. It can be done any time of year, okay? What if during the hawl, the nisab goes below the limit and after a few months increases again? How do we calculate? If the wealth goes below the nisab during the hawl, then we start a new hawl again. Okay? How do we calculate the number of months increase? Should we pay the zakah or full year? So basically, you have, for example, 18,000 dirhams. Okay, after 3 months, they become 20. Okay, after another 3 months, they became 14. So 14 is lower than the nisab. In this case, we stop the hawl. And then after 1 month, it becomes 18,000. So when it becomes 18,000, we start another hawl. Okay? I'm sorry, the nisab stops once it's below, the hawl stops once it's below the nisab. Once it goes back to the nisab, we start counting the hawl. Okay? Is there a ruling for a person who has a high salary but they spend their salary? Okay, this is very important. If a person has, a large salary and he spends his salary normally in something permissible, there's no problem here. There's nothing on him. Okay, there's no zakah because he doesn't have money that stayed with him for 1 whole year. That's normal. Okay, this is for the case if a person has an amount of money that has reached nisab and stayed for him 1 whole hawl. Is zakah wajib every year on the same gold, or is it enough given one time? Okay, we have mentioned that if you're a person who has gold as stored gold, not jewelry to be worn, okay, we're assuming you're a man, okay? If you're a man, if you have gold as stored gold for value, this you have to pay zakah every year, okay? Some people convert gold into diamonds to save zakah. Is it permissible? Okay, we have a general rule. Anyone who flees away from zakah is obligated to pay zakah. Subhanallah. So if a person, let's say, he has a lot of money, okay, let's say cash, he has like 1 million. As soon as the time of year he needs to pay zakah, he changes this money to, for example, he buys a land. Okay, and then after 2-3 months, he sells the land and gets his cash. He wants to flee from zakah. In this case, we say he has to pay the zakah because you bought the land to flee from zakah, so that to avoid paying zakah. This you're not allowed to do. If, for example, a person has a lot of money and he wanted to buy a car, he bought a car. So let's say at the end of the year, he bought a car. He didn't intend to run away from zakah to avoid zakah, but it just happens that he bought a car. Here it's permissible. There's no zakah on him. But if he intended to avoid zakah, he didn't want the land. He just wanted to avoid zakah. This is where he has to pay the zakah in full. Okay, I buy jewelry for a future occasion. It's above nisab and hawl has passed without me using it. Okay, very good question. I received a lot of questions regarding jewelry, gold set for jewelry, and does it have zakah or not? Okay, the opinion that we keep mentioning that we chose is the opinion of the majority of scholars. The three imams, Ahmad, Malik, and Shafi'i, is that there is no zakah on jewelry that is set for use, that is used jewelry. This is specifically for women because she's the one who's going to be using gold, okay, as a jewelry. We mentioned that it is used jewelry and not stored. So even if she used it once in a year, as long as her intention is to use it, it's for normal use. Her intention wasn't, she didn't buy it as a store of wealth to start with. She bought it for jewelry, and she knows that it has value. And she knows that if something happens in the future, she needs the money, she can sell it. This is common with anything that we buy, even cars. You buy a car, if you needed the money, you might sell the car. This doesn't mean that you have to pay zakah on the car. Okay, the same thing with jewelry here. The main intention is for her to use. She wants to beautify herself with this gold. Okay, she wants to wear at certain occasions. So she bought it to wear it at certain occasions, but this occasion did not occur. For example, for a wedding, but this wedding did not happen. So the jewelry is with her now. Okay, and this was her intention. In this case, there's no zakah on that jewelry. So once we buy jewelry and use it during the year, it is not zakatable. Yes, we mentioned if you buy jewelry, gold specifically, and because the type of jewelry that is zakatable is gold and silver, not diamonds, not other types of jewels or pearls. So if the sister bought this jewelry for use to wear, even if she bought, for example, 2 kilograms of gold as in jewelry, but she keeps on wearing different types, maybe once a year or more than a year, but her intention is that she keeps on changing, she keeps on wearing different things. So this is hers, she wears it. Okay, so there's no zakah on that. There's no zakah on that. Okay, there are so many questions, subhanAllah, regarding jewelry. So each time we'll be mentioning extra information for us to understand the matter. Okay. Look at this question. If a woman receives gold for her wedding, which she wore on her wedding but didn't wear afterwards, is it zakatable? What do you guys think? Well, here we say, what is the intention? She bought it to wear, and she's going to wear it in the future. She wants to wear it, yani. Okay? If that's the case, then khalas, there's no zakah. If she was given this jewelry, okay, and she intended to store as a store of wealth, she has no intention to wear it in the future. She has no intention to wear it at occasions, where there's a wedding or something. She doesn't care about this jewelry. She will never wear it, and khalas, she wants to sell once gold increases in price. Here we say she has to give zakah every year. Okay. Okay, Sheikh, what if you buy gold for both wearing and as a saving? Okay, here, look, what is the main reason? She bought gold to wear. Okay, I'm assuming it's a woman. If she bought gold to wear, okay, and at the same time, she knows that it has value. So every time she wears something, and she keeps it with her. Okay, every time she keeps on wearing something. Here, there's no zakah if the main intention is to wear. But if the main intention was a store of wealth, she has a lot of money, so she keeps on buying gold so that, to store her wealth. And at every time she keeps on wearing something, but her main intention is a store of wealth, here there is zakah. So it depends on the main intention. Okay, and initially, the main intention usually for gold, especially for women, is to wear, not as a store of wealth. Wallahu alam, okay? Now, look at this question. What if we have jewelry and it is in the locker back in our home country? Like parents give children a lot of gold during marriage. This is all in a locker. Don't we have to give zakah? Okay, it's in a locker. It's in a locker for years. This here, it shows that it wasn't meant aslan to be worn. Here, the intention was not to wear it. And it's locked in a locker. And just in case I needed the gold I'm going to be using here, it's definitely a store of wealth. I'm just trying to understand the question. If a person, for example, he has this gold, she puts it in a place that she has no access, she cannot access, and so obviously she's not gonna wear. She has no intention of wearing it aslan, no intention of wearing it. Here it is zakatable. Here it is zakatable, okay? Because it's stored gold. If a man bought 10 pounds, I'm assuming of gold, 2 months back, and he is giving zakat this Ramadan, should he pay zakat for that gold? Okay, good. So 2 months back, he bought 10 pounds. Pay attention to this question. He bought 10 pounds of gold 2 months back. So it's definitely more than nisab. But did it complete the hawl? No, it's 2 months. It still has 10 months. Is he obliged to pay zakah in Ramadan? So Ramadan, it would have completed only 3 months. The hawl is still not complete. So definitely he is not obliged. First of all, he's a man. So it's not going to be jewelry to wear. Okay, gold, men who have golden items, they have to pay zakah because it's not permissible for men to wear gold. Even if he's wearing this gold as a bracelet and it's gold, he has to pay zakah, and it's haram. He should not wear gold, and he has to pay zakah. Okay, we don't say use jewelry for men as gold. Gold, use jewelry for men. So if the man bought 10 pounds 2 months back and he's giving zakah this Ramadan, should he pay the zakah for that gold? No, he waits for a hawl. He can pay the zakah for all of his wealth, and he leaves this gold alone until it completes its hawl, and then he pays the zakah for this gold, okay? So as we mentioned, it's the completion of nisab and then a hawl after the completion of nisab. I have purchased jewelry which is above nisab, used it for 1 year, which makes it non-zakatable. Afterwards, if I didn't use it for a hawl, is it zakatable? It doesn't matter if you use it or not. What's important is the intention. What's important is the intention. For example, the time of COVID, when it came, nobody is wearing any gold and visiting. There are no occasions. Okay, it doesn't mean that they have to pay zakah. No, it's just she bought it to use it, and she might not use it for a year. It's no problem as long as it's still in the intention that it's just for use. She didn't buy it to store wealth and to wait for the prices to increase. Okay. Even if used jewelry is like 1,000 grams, it's not zakatable. Even if it's 2,000, 3,000, as long as it is for use, it's still not zakatable. Okay. And subhanAllah, we have some sisters who have like more than 1 kilogram of gold, and she doesn't use everything, but it's all for her use. Sometimes she picks specific jewelry to wear at certain events, certain occasions. Sometimes there are no occasions. She doesn't wear anything for years. But still, her intention is to use it. It's used jewelry. So here we say there's no zakah. So please explain the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ when he asked Aisha radiallahu anha on her bangles if she gave zakah as it was used jewelry. Look, all the hadith, let me give you this principle. After researching all the hadith that says, that we understand from it that there's zakah on jewelry, there's an issue in them. And this is what Imam al-Tirmidhi has also mentioned. There's no hadith that is authentic. Some of the scholars, they have said that certain hadith are authentic, but the stronger opinion is that none of them is authentic. By the way, you said Aisha radiallahu anha, yeah? Aisha is one of the companions that her opinion is that there's no zakah on jewelry. Imagine. This is why they said this hadith can't be right. Even the chain of narrators, there's a problem there. Because how can the story is regarding her, and she's of the ones that mentioned that there's no zakah on gold. As Imam Ahmad has mentioned, there are 6 companions that say that there's no zakah on gold, and there's no zakah, on jewelry, used jewelry, okay? Not gold, used jewelry. So she's one of them. Okay. The Hanafi opinion here, they use the hadith, some of the weak hadith. They said that this is authentic, and they build their opinion on that. And by the way, some of you might say, what is the proof that there's no zakah on gold? It doesn't work this way. It's the opposite. It's what's the proof? What's the dalil that there's zakah on gold? Because gold for a woman, jewelry, is like if a man bought a car. It's for use. Same thing with a woman. She bought this jewelry for use. So fundamentally, there's no zakah unless we have an opinion unless we have a dalil that specifies that there's zakah on this jewelry. And this is one of the most, difficult matters in fiqh, in zakah. And we said, the better opinion by a small, it's a bit stronger that there's no zakah. This is the opinion of the majority of scholars. Okay, look at this. This is a new question. A new type of question. Look, what about gold wrist? I'm asking you, brothers and sisters, what about gold wrist watches? Can men wear it? The answer is no, men cannot wear gold. Okay, are they zakatable? Look, anything that is not permissible to wear for men, it is zakatable. It is zakat. So they're not, if men have a jewelry, for example, he has a Rolex watch. He said, I'm using it, it's for use. It's gold, I'm using it. You said use jewelry, there's no zakah. There's no zakah on permissible used jewelry. Here it's not permissible, so he has to pay zakah. He has to pay zakah. He has to pay zakah, and it's not permissible for him to wear it, okay? We Indians keep our gold in locker back home and live in Dubai, and we go to India once a year, but don't wear all the gold at that time. It's not about what should we pay zakah. As I mentioned, it's not about wearing all that gold. It's about what is your intention. Is your intention is to store your wealth as gold, or is your intention to use this gold from now every now and then you use some of that gold? It goes back to your intention. But if you're storing it, it's clear that. But I mean, this is what I'm saying. If you're storing your gold, you have to go back to yourself. If you're storing this gold and you know that you're not going to be using it, it's just as a store of wealth, here you have to pay zakah. Okay, I bought gold in 2018. Till now, I haven't worn it. It was bought to wear for any big occasion, but still kept untouched. Do I pay zakah? Excellent question. What do you guys think? She said, I bought gold in 2018. It's now 2021. Till now, I haven't worn it. It was bought to wear. She said, it was bought to wear. So it's used jewelry. This was her intention, but she didn't use it. It's untouched. So then she decided she didn't, there's no occasion that she wore it. In this case, we say if it was bought to wear and the intention is still there, then khalas, there's no zakah on it. Sheikh, how do you calculate the nisab for another currency? Look, every currency, you just check. For every currency, you just check the gold prices in that currency, and it will tell you. So 85 grams in that currency, how much it is? How much is it? This is the nisab. Okay. Sheikh, if money is given as a loan, then is zakah on this money? Okay, are we talking about the debtor here or the creditor? If money is given as a loan, so let's say a person has taken a loan, 10,000 dirhams or 20,000 dirhams, more than the nisab. Is there any zakah on this? We say after 1 year, okay, when do you have to pay this? We say any money that you have, okay, if it's more than nisab and the whole hawl passes, then you have to pay zakah. But when you pay zakah, you check, is the debt due or not? If the debt is due, you have to pay your debt first. Okay, and then what's left, you calculate. If it's more than the nisab, you pay it out. Okay. If the husband pays the zakah for his wife's gold, is there any harm? No, there's no harm. There's no harm, and he wants to do this, no problem. No problem. Okay, but I mentioned jewelry. I mean, she doesn't have any money. She's unable to pay. Well, is this a zakah store of wealth or is it jewelry? If it's used jewelry, she doesn't have to pay. Okay. Okay, good question. What about children's savings? Okay, very important question. Please. What about children's savings? Don't we have to calculate their zakah? Excellent question. Look, number one, children's savings. If the savings, regardless if they reached puberty or not, if these savings, if they reach more than nisab, the value more than nisab for each one, you don't add them together. So let's say you have 3 children. If you add all their wealth together, it's 20,000 dirhams. It's more than the nisab. We don't do that. But by themselves, each one is like 10,000, 10,000, 10,000. And it's less than nisab. In this case, there's no zakah on that money. In this case, there's no zakah. But if one of them had it more than nisab and the whole hawl passes, you have to pay out zakah, okay? When you talk about salary, do you mean how much a person has saved from the salary each month over the year? Well, I'm saying that if the salary in itself is more than nisab, when you receive it, it's more than nisab. So you have to wait one whole hawl and then you pay. But we said the easier thing is to pick one day and whatever amount of money you have, okay, if it's more than nisab, of course, it's going to be more than nisab, you pay 2.5%. Okay, after reaching nisab, look at this question. After reaching nisab, a new car was purchased before hawl. So his intention was not fleeing. He wanted to buy, he needed a car, he bought a car. And the wealth then came below nisab. Can we stop counting hawl and then wait to reach nisab again? Yes. What happens is that he had money. He had money and he bought a car. After he was going to complete the hawl, he bought a car. So now his wealth is below the nisab. And if it's below the nisab, the hawl stops. So there's no hawl here. Once he gets more money and it reaches the nisab, here's where we say, once he gets more money, it's more than the nisab, we start counting a new hawl. طيب. If a person has property like land and reach hawl in their country. Okay. This is a revision for you. Okay, matters regarding property, land. Remember, when is it zakatable? Look at this question. If a person has property, like land, and reach hawl in their country, not used or not yet built home, only land, but the owner has salary is low, and no savings, is she obliged to pay zakah? Brothers and sisters, for property, when is it zakatable? If it was bought with the intention to sell as a business. Not a person who has a piece of land and it's with him for years. He doesn't have to pay zakah. If he bought it with the intention to sell and he's waiting for the price to increase, the intention to start with was for business. Okay, and he wants to sell it. And if he waits for 1 year, this is where he has to pay zakah. But if he inherited, if it's his land, he was living in it aslan. Okay, he bought it to live or he bought it to rent it out. There's no zakah. Even if it's with him for years and he didn't use it, there's no zakah. For inventory, do we pay zakah on selling value or cost value? Okay, very important question. For inventory, we calculate the selling value and selling in bulk, okay? If you sold all this inventory now, how much will it give you? This is the amount, okay? In bulk, so bulk prices. Okay, good question. What about cars as a store of wealth? So he bought a car, a collector's edition, like one of these old classic cars. It's considered, it has value. It's a collector car. So cars that are collected. He bought it with the intention to sell later. It's a store. It has a lot of value. He didn't buy it to use it. He bought it as a store of wealth so that he can sell it later. There is zakah on it every year. There is zakah. What if a good amount of money was spent during hawl to construct a building to later give for rent? Should 2.5% on the money spent on this building construction should be paid as zakah? What do you think? He bought a building to later give for rent. He bought a piece of land. If a good amount of money was spent during hawl to construct a building to later give for rent, should 2.5% be on the money spent during this building? No. Aslan, for rent, there's nothing on it. There's no zakah. Okay, and the money you spent on the construction, khalas, it's money spent. There's no zakah on it. There's no zakah, okay? If we lend gold to a person, he will inshallah give it back. Should we pay zakah? Is this gold zakatable or not? I mean, if you're going to be lending gold, I'm assuming used jewelry, yeah? Used jewelry. So in this case, there's no zakah because you're not, it's not for, it's not store of value here. It's used jewelry, yeah? Do you pay zakah on full amount of loan, or do you, okay. I don't understand the question. Anyway, regarding zakah of loan, we mentioned the details regarding the creditor and the debtor, okay? Bismillah. طيب. If inventory have to pay if is bought on credit. طيب. Okay. If inventory is bought on credit and we have to pay within 3 months and the zakah payment date comes, what should we do? Okay, the inventory is bought on credit and we have to pay within 3 months. Is this, okay, this is a debt. This is a debt. Is it due or not? If it's due, you have to pay now. You deduce it from the zakah, and khalas. If it's not due, then you ignore it. It doesn't affect the zakah. Okay, what about share? What about share and inheritance if not yet received but it is due? So your share of the inheritance, khalas, they declared that this is your share, okay? But they still didn't give it to you. And let's say a year passes in the state, then this amount of money is zakatable. This amount of money is zakat. Once you receive, you pay zakah on every year that passed. Okay, what about a land that is bought with the intention to build a school on it? It's not zakatable, people. It's not zakatable. Even if it's school for business, it's not zakatable unless you buy this land to sell it. Otherwise, no. Is zakah wajib on the debtor? We said if the loan encompasses all of his wealth and it's due, there's no zakah because it will decrease his nisab. If he has enough money with him and the debt is due, he deducts the debt from the wealth and then he checks if it's more than the nisab or not, given that the debt is due. Is there a timeline by which the zakat dues be cleared? Is it the completion of the next haul? No. Once the zakah is due, you have to pay it as soon as possible. Can we give zakat to non-Muslims? In all the criterion, no. It's only for one. Those who are, if you know that if you pay them, you're going to be winning their hearts and they become Muslim. But that's, most of the time it's given to poor people. If you're assuming poor people, no, it's Muslims. The poor is Muslims for zakah. This is better. For zakah, it's Muslims, okay? If you're going to be given to the poor, it's Muslims. Okay, the final question. Sheikh, we bought jewelry for our daughter with the intention for her wedding, which was fixed but delayed due to COVID. So look, he bought it for jewelry for her daughter. Now, he says it's more than a lunar year. So he bought it and more than a lunar year have passed, so more than a haul. And then he said she didn't wear it as it is in India. No intention of selling it. Look, there's no intention of selling it. Should I pay the zakah on gold? Only intending to wear it, but it's new gold sets, not worn yet. It's more than a year now. Even if it's 3 years. If it was bought to wear, then khalas, there's no zakah on it. Okay? And alhamdulillah, with this we have finished the questions that I was able to answer. And هذا والله أعلم وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. جزاكم الله خير.